Today, I'm flying Finnair from London to Helsinki in their Airbus A350 Economy Class. Despite only being a 2.5 hour flight, Finnair used a widebody A350 on this route, so you get all the comfort of a long-haul aircraft, which is a rare experience in Europe, where most airlines will try and cram people like sardines into a much smaller plane. That and the fact that Helsinki is one of the best airports in the world makes Finnair a pleasure to fly. I started off by heading to London Heathrow's Terminal 3 on a freezing January morning. Literally, it was -4 degrees outside when I filmed this, which caused some chaos at Heathrow, as you'll see later. For now though, I'll just say Terminal 3 is my least favourite of Heathrow's 4 terminals. It always feels overcrowded, and the low ceiling and old design just make it an all-round unpleasant place to be. It does at least have the best lounges, but I was flying in economy today, so that didn't help me much. Once I got through security, I looked at the departure board and saw a flight to Helsinki, so headed to the gate straight away. Unbeknownst to me though, that was actually flight AY1342 to Helsinki, whilst my flight was AY1332, leaving just 25 minutes later. As I got to that gate, I finally noticed I'd gone to the wrong one, and my only excuse is that I hadn't had my morning coffee yet. And in my defence, who'd have thought that Finnair would have 2 flights to Helsinki within 25 minutes of each other? So I backtracked a bit and did some plane spotting instead, and even managed to see our actual plane landing. About 20 minutes after landing though, our gate still hadn't been announced, so I checked Flight Radar 24, only to find that the plane had been sitting on the taxiway for the last 20 minutes. This turned out to be because of the cold weather, which was causing delays at Heathrow, so there wasn't a gate available for our plane when it landed. Eventually our plane parked, 33 minutes after landing, so that's what caused our first delay. This of course isn't Finnair's fault, but Heathrow's, and Finnair actually managed to turn the plane around pretty quickly, so we started boarding about 15 minutes later than expected, which wasn't too bad, but unfortunately we had an even more ridiculous delay coming up, so stay tuned until we push back from the gate to find out what that was all about. Now before we head on board, here are the stats en route for today's flight. This 2.5 hour flight would take us over Denmark and Sweden before landing into Helsinki 40 minutes late. Also, here's the seat map, and worth noting that the premium economy cabin is treated as regular economy. You just have to pay £35.70 extra for seat selection. I just went with seat 60A though near the back, which was free to select. They have a really cool business class seat too, which I'll actually be reviewing on my return flight to London. And the premium economy looks pretty decent too. But economy is where we belong today, so I headed to the back of the plane. Looking at the seat map on check-in, I'd seen it was quite empty towards the back, so I hoped I could get a row to myself. And I was right, the cabin was only half full, if that. Which makes me question why Finnair even operates so many flights to London using the Airbus A350. But whatever the reason is, I'm happy for it, as it meant I could fly in comfort. Now onto the seat. Compared to other long-haul airlines, it's about average, but compared to most short-haul airlines in Europe, it's a 10 out of 10. Every seat has a bottle of water in the seat back pocket, plus some decent enough headphones. But it's worth noting this plane is 9 years old, so it is a bit lacking in some areas. For instance, the screen is a bit small and the only power port is a single USB-A plug. No USB-C, and more importantly no power socket, which seems crazy not to have on a long-haul aircraft. The good news though is that they've started upgrading many aircraft with larger screens and USB-C ports, but sadly our plane had the old interior.
Dear passengers, very good morning. This is your captain speaking. My name is Janne Kaskinen. On behalf of the entire crew, I wish you all welcome aboard this Finnair service to Helsinki. And flight time to Helsinki today will be 2 hours and 25 minutes. Helsinki weather at the moment is cloudy and temperature -3 degrees centigrade.
Hello and welcome on board Finnair. Before departure, we require your full attention for a moment. Our safety depends on both our crew.
After we pushed back and the safety video stopped, I noticed we'd been sitting still for a few minutes. I brought up my trusty Flight Radar app again, only to find we were sitting face to face with a Virgin plane going to Miami, which for some bizarre reason had left one gate only to circle around the terminal and park at another. No idea why though, so leave a comment if you have any ideas. Anyway, that meant we were trapped and had to wait 20 minutes for a tug to come and push us back so the Virgin plane could get past.
Ladies and gentlemen, your captain speaking. My apologies of this delay. We have 2 aircraft facing each other on the taxiway now, and we have just received the pushback structure. to our aircraft, pushing us back a little bit so that the other aircraft can taxi into a parking position, and then we can continue.
So all in all, it was about 25 minutes sitting around and waiting, then a few more minutes as the Virgin plane and a newly arrived American Airlines plane pulled into their gates. Definitely one of the sillier reasons I've had a flight get delayed, and I assumed it was just a breakdown in communication in the control tower or something. But eventually, we were underway, and had a relatively short taxi to the runway. Also, the takeoff today was spectacular, with great views of the main terminals, so stay tuned for that. Now, speaking of delays again, the main reason Heathrow was so hectic today was because of the freezing temperatures. Here's a long line of British Airways planes waiting to be de-iced.
Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
And luckily, we didn't actually need de-icing today, otherwise we'd have been delayed even more. I assume the reason for that was that our plane had only been on the ground for an hour or two max, so ice didn't have time to build up. Now here's the takeoff from runway 09 right, coming up. Shortly after the seatbelt sign went off, a pop-up came up letting you know the Wi-Fi was available, but it was extortionately priced, so I didn't buy it. Business class passengers get 1 hour free though, so I tested it on my return flight, and it was almost 10 megabits, which is okay, but nothing special. There's also a small snack service, but the only complimentary stuff was a glass of water or blueberry juice. A bit disappointing that there's no snack like you'd get with British Airways or KLM, but you can also buy snacks, which I'll show you in a moment. Now for the loo review, it's pretty average for an Airbus A350, but obviously way more spacious than any short-haul aircraft you'd find. And that's pretty much all that happened in today's flight. I'll just quickly cover the entertainment system now. It's decent with a good selection of movies and a slightly more limited selection of TV shows, and very helpfully for connecting passengers, they show connecting gate numbers plus a map of the airport. And it shows the arrival gate too, so if you have a tight connection you can basically plan your route ahead of time and know exactly where to go. Also, I love the external cameras, though only one seemed to be working today. And last but not least, here is the food menu. Basically just a few snacks and drinks, and nothing very heavy, but you can use Avios to pay, which is good to see. You can also pre-order a small selection of meals, but it has to be done before check-in opens.
And we will end the in-flight service now. You can still move around the cabin until the safety belt sign is switched on. This is a good moment to make sure your carry-on baggage is in the overhead locker or under the seat in front of you.
Another short safety video started playing as we began our descent into a very snowy Helsinki. And if you've ever wondered, like I have, how airports like Helsinki keep their runways clear of snow, then this is how. A giant fleet of snowplows which go down the runway in a line to clear the whole thing in one go. I've never seen this before, so I was pretty impressed, especially as someone from the UK where even a hint of snow will bring things to a grinding halt.
Cabin crew, take your door positions.
I like how they use actual farm tractors instead of the carts you'd see at most airports. And there's that fleet of snowplows again. As we enter the airport, I'll just take a moment to say how brilliant Helsinki Vantaa is. My experience both arriving and departing was great and extremely efficient. Security was a breeze, basically no queue at immigration, and the design's both functional and beautiful. It feels open and airy, and despite being quite busy, was somehow one of the quietest airports I've walked through. I'd say it's now in my top 3 airports alongside Singapore Changi and Oslo Gardermoen. Finnair meanwhile were also great. The delay was annoying, but I can't blame the airline for bad weather, so they get past. Just the fact that they use the Airbus A350 on a short-haul route like this instantly elevates them above other European airlines. And it was just overall a very good experience. Now you can pause the video if you want to read my full thoughts. And here's a tier list of every airline flown on this channel, which is based off my own experience, so it might be a bit biased. But Finnair now find themselves at a respectable 8 out of 10. Next video will feature the return flight in Finnair's fantastic business class with their revolutionary no-recline lay-flat seat. This was a really fun flight despite some more cold weather chaos at Heathrow Airport, so stay tuned for that and future reviews including Loganair, easyJet and more. So thanks for watching, please like and subscribe if you made it this far, and goodbye!